Welcome to the Mindful Nomad podcast. I'm your host, Miguel Gutierrez. This podcast is an exploration into the world of creatives, community leaders, and entrepreneurs, taking a deep dive into their lives, focusing strongly on lifestyle, spirituality, mental health, and education. So grab a seat, relax, and join me for this exciting journey through conversations with other mindful nomads. This was previously recorded for the podcast Travel Cuts and Consciousness, but I've decided to keep it on a playlist as it still aligns well with the Mindful Nomads podcast. Enjoy. So welcome to a new episode of Travel Cuts and Consciousness. Today I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine, Adam Vunoir. I first met Adam at the beginning of my nomadic journey in Thailand when he was also traveling around tattooing. Adam is a multimedia artist from Southern California. He's heavily inspired by his travels, prison illustrations, vintage propaganda, and 80s manga. Adam is documented as the second person ever to tattoo on all 7 continents, which he did at the age of 30 years. He now runs his own studio in Echo Park called Strange Love LA, and I'm delighted to be interviewing him today. So, Adam, and I can tell you're embarrassed right now, but how are you, and can you give the listeners any more info about anything I missed out?
Oh man, that was rough. No man, it sounds right on point. So very cool. I'm happy to be here, man. It's good to see you always. Yeah. Trying to get comfortable in these positions after driving in traffic for 2 hours to see you. Yeah. But I'm happy to be here. Awesome.
Sick. Yeah, it's Adam's one of the people that we were talking about before that I don't see for a year or two, and it feels like we didn't hug for long when we saw each other. We were just like, hey.
Yeah, I know.
Feels like
I mean, it's always like that, though. We're always bumping into each other at random times, and it's always literally picks up right where, because I know generally both of us are always doing shit, so time goes by really fast.
Well, we've met in Berlin. We've met in London.
Berlin now, again.
LA.
Again. There was an LA trip somewhere.
Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand.
Malaysia.
I think this is the second or third time in LA now too. I remember that weird photo shoot too we did in downtown. Oh yeah. Where you cut my hair. Oh, it was a great haircut. See, that was like that sketchy little warehouse. That was cool though.
It was funny though. We ended up at did you go to the party after? We went to a party.
I don't think so.
No?
No. I think Corey went with you guys. My best friend Corey went with you guys, and then that's about it.
I can't remember too much of that night. I remember being back at Carlos's house, and Corey was there.
Carlos. Oh, yeah, I did go. I did go because then we were all doing late night haircuts. Ah, dude. Dark times, man.
Corey was getting his hair done about 6 a.m. Like he got it done like 13 times.
Are we keeping this like as professional as possible on here?
Yeah, we're not going too deep into what happened that night.
That was a pretty dark night. Now that I remember that, I forgot we were at that dude's apartment too. Yeah, man, getting haircuts at 5-6 a.m. talking about startup businesses. It's like nothing good happens at that hour, dude.
I remember sitting on the doorstep now.
Yeah,
we were sitting there just talking about the most random stuff while the sun came up.
We were getting deep.
Yeah, we were. So yeah, now we're sober. We can reflect and laugh at that.
Now that we're sober, keeping it good. So let's talk about how jet lagged you are.
Yeah, I'm pretty jet lagged, but I am here and I am podcasting, and I'm excited to be talking to you. So, I mean, it's interesting to talk to someone like you because we've talked about a lot of things, but I've never sat down and talked to you about maybe your professional career quite in depth as I'd like to. So kind of tell me how you came about getting into art at the start.
Oh man, it's weird because I feel like I've been doing this, longer than I actually have been doing. But I'm 33 now, and I started tattooing when I was 21, 22. But I'd always been involved somehow in the creative process of something. I always tried to figure out ways to be creative, whether it was like being in a band or making flyers for band shows and stuff. But I didn't really take illustration and drawing seriously until I was about 21. Around that time, I'd already been working in tattoo shops and stuff as what you refer to as a shop bitch. So I was like cleaning toilets and mopping floors, all that good stuff, trying to earn your stripes. But I didn't really consider tattooing until it was about 2021. So yeah, And the day that I decided that I wanted to be a tattooer, I like just wrote a note to myself, taped it to a shoebox, and I was living at my parents' house at the time. And I just wrote this thing down that just said like, hey, I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I locked myself in that room for about a year just drawing and collecting a bunch of tattoo magazines and just whatever, and just copying or tracing or just eye to paper, just whatever that caught my eye aesthetically. So, you have to do like 100 bad roses before you do one good one, or 100 bad everything. It's like, I wish I was more of like a prodigy, but this is, most of us in this industry really, really have to try to actually get decent, but nowadays you can kind of fake it with social media. But back then it's like this is like mid 2000s, late 90s and stuff. Like you really had to really put the miles in there, so I got involved in tattooing around that time. So that was basically when I started drawing and painting and just obsessing over all things that involved art or that was somehow related to tattooing. So I knew if, like, for example, if I learned how to oil paint, that would somehow help tattooing. If I learned how to watercolor, that would help tattooing. Everything kind of reverted back to tattooing. So, and it's weird because nowadays I'm using tattooing to go back into those other things, whether it be watercolor or oil or even like video making or whatever it is, whatever that is creative in some capacity. It's kind of like traded places, I guess, But yeah, so it all kind of started then.
Yeah, I've kind of obviously followed your journey and seen your Instagram over the past few years evolve, and you're always you're trying different aspects of art and trying to bring that into your tattooing and vice versa.
Right.
It's really interesting to see.
I think that's what keeps it fresh, though, too. It's like, I don't like being a creature of habit. I don't like doing the same thing for too long. It gets really monotonous after a while and tedious, So, like, man, if there's some tattoo images and designs that I'll never get sick of, whether it's like roses and skulls, like that's your bread and butter. Like if you can't draw a skull and a rose, like you have no business being here pretty much. But that's like ABCs of tattooing, and I can never get sick of that stuff. But if I was to do it every day for, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, it'd get pretty bad. It'd get pretty gnarly, because then there's a million ways you can do it, but you can also use up those million ways. I don't know. So it's just habit, man. I like to introduce different things into just life, just to keep things fresh, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I talked a little bit about your inspiration and stuff like that, but growing up, did things like music play a big role in?
I think music definitely. I mean, there's so many aspects to that growing up. As far as inspiration and influence, it's like you have music, you have movies, you have, especially if you had older brothers like I did, it's like you always want to be kind of like your brothers. And then usually it's like your friends, and then your older friends, like the older guys around the block, like you always think those dudes are the coolest. So those guys all had the tattoos and shit. So I kind of knew early on that I was going to be tattooed. I just didn't know it was going to be like this, But yeah, I would say music was my first love. So a lot of punk rock, rock and roll, classic rock stuff. And then my older brothers listened to gangster rap back in the 90s. So, I mean, that's Southern California in a nutshell, pretty much. You throw skateboarding in there, too. It's like everything is extremely Southern California,
It's like a bit of a melting pot for all different music and subcultures.
I mean, Southern California is just all subcultures. I mean, nowadays it's weird, because when I do actually venture outside and see what the young kids are doing nowadays, it's like everybody's kind of dressing like Will Smith now, and like everybody's like really into streetwear or whatever. But like
Will Smith from when?
Like Fresh Prince era, that's cool, dope. Like everything in the 90s is cool now, and everything in the 80s was cool when I was like that age, I guess. Everybody wanted to be the 80s guy or girl. But yeah, no. It's weird how that all is. But nowadays, back then you would see so many different subcultures. Like you'd go to high school and you had like a group of skaters, you had punks, you had greasers, which I never see around at that age anymore, and you had psychobilly kids, and then you had all that stuff. So nowadays it's not so much. I don't see it too much, but maybe I just don't go out as much around here.
You're locked away in the shop?
I'm at the shop all the time. If I'm not there, I'm doing something for the shop. And the several days that I try to take off a week where I don't end up being there, ends up becoming like, man, I really want to see my folks, or man, I really want to see this guy or this girl or whatever, just trying to catch up on old friendships and stuff, and like just trying to take care of yourself. But man, it always ends up becoming administration stuff. I did laundry for the first time 3 days ago since my wife went back to Germany a month ago. So yeah, that was a fucking wreck, man. That took all day. And like it's so crazy. Again, I'm 33 years old, and there's so much stuff that has happened in my life. Like I feel like I've lived a full, amazing lifetime with the things I've done in the last 14, 15 years. But simple things like folding a t-shirt, I don't know how to do correctly, and it always ends up looking like a fucked up tortilla or some shit. And like putting a duvet on a comforter.
I love how you say that, duvet.
Yeah, I didn't even know what the fuck that was called, because I was writing, I was Googling cover for blanket. Like, what is the name for that? Apparently it's a duvet. But like, my friend Ignacio, who's over there sitting across from me right now, knows exactly how to do it. But there's so many things that my entire life has been devoted, adult life and whatever, like, has been devoted to just attempting to be creative and artistic, and just obsessing over these things that I'd never learned how to do, the simplest of things that like fucking everybody knows how to do. So folding a shirt, I mean, I worked retail, but I didn't keep that bit of knowledge in there. Like, I'm having to YouTube how to fold a shirt. It's insane. It's fucking insane how helpless I am on the most basic things. But everything else, like anything involving just anything but being domesticated, I feel like I'm good at. You know, that's about it. Yeah.
When you first kind of announced or made your way into the tattoo industry, were your folks kind of supportive?
Fuck no. I'm coming from an Asian American family too. They came over here after the Vietnam War, I think 1973. You know, that generation of parents, they want their kids to grow up to be like doctors, computer engineers, and whatever. So, I mean, I was in a band for 9 years, and then around the time where I said I wanted a tattoo, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was in college, going to community college and shit, but I kind of wanted to be a chef, and I even wanted to do hair, because at that time everybody I knew was doing hair or being a barber or something like that, but I knew I would never be good at that, because I didn't care. It was more of like, I'm doing it because everybody else is doing it. Tattooing kind of fell in my lap, so when I told my parents, hey, I'm going to be a tattooer, I'm going to do this, at that point they were dealing with their own stuff, and my sister, they had kind of invested in my little sister going to school and everything, so I mean, they weren't stoked on it. It took about 9-10 years for them to actually be awesome. Now they're stoked on it, but it definitely took a lot of work. They had to see the progress, they had to see the money being made, and they had to see, I mean, that's that generation, man. It's definitely they need to know that you can take care of yourself, but at the same time they want to be the ones to, you know, brag to their church friends or whatever. I don't care. I get it. I totally get it now, but back then it's like, well, why can't you just support me, blah blah blah. But I'm happy they didn't, you know. I'm happy that I did it all on my own, because if they were supportive and helped me financially or anything like that, I don't think I'd be where I'm at now. You know, I had to really work my ass off to get where I'm at now, and builds character. Oh yeah.
At what point do you think that the drive really set in for you to be adamant to, you know, make something of your career? Because I know you've done different things along the way.
I think the drive happened when I actually went, I guess, solo. You know, so I had spent the first couple of years tattooing after I'd done my apprenticeship with Jose Lopez at Lowrider Tattoo down in Anaheim, California, or Fountain Valley. He gave me a year of teaching. I gave him a year back. I then moved to LA, not too far from where I was already. Worked for Norm, rest in peace, in Fairfax for 4 years. So after that, I'd kind of hit a wall. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was pretty messed up on pills at the time because I had just run out of, I don't know. It was a lot of stress, a lot of exhaustion, and working 7 days a week and really not seeing anything out of it. Like, you're making a little bit of money, you're paying your rent and stuff, but I felt like as far as my identity and my tattoo stuff didn't exist. Like, you couldn't tell my stuff apart at that time from some dude across the street, you know? So I think it was the lack of identity in my work is what clicked that, hey, I'm going to go travel, you know? So at that time, the girl I was dating and I broke up. She took a bunch of my shit, whatever. But I was just kind of like, well, there's no point for me to be here. I just left the shop. This relationship just ended. I have about $2,000 to my name. Let's get the fuck out of here. So that's the trip I actually met you on. So that's when I took off to, I believe I started in Singapore first and then made it to Thailand after. And it just, after that, that's when the travel bug hit. And that's when just a lot of things started falling into place. So the travel bug and the stomach bug and all that other shit too. But
was that like, that was one of the, was that the first time you left the country?
That was, no. I'd gone to Rome when I was 21, 21 to do, I guess I worked at a tattoo shop out there helping cleaning toilets and stuff too under basically my first mentor, Samus. But that was not counting Mexico either because we just can drive across the street there and be in Mexico. But that was the first time I crossed an ocean. So I could say, no, technically Italy, but that was the first time I went to Asia, put it that way.
What was, I obviously know, but what was the kind of plan for that trip? I know you wanted to get out of LA at the time, like you said.
Yeah, I wanted to just get out of California at that time and just reset. Reset was one, but then basically just figure out, like, what the fuck am I doing? You know?
And you went to film?
Yeah, no, I don't think we did. We? Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. We filmed a little bit, but that was just more to document stuff, and there wasn't really any purpose of it too. Like every trip I've ever been on, I've filmed something, and I just have a hard drive full of film. I don't know what I'm going to do with it one day, but I will do something with it one day. And it's crazy to look back and think about that stuff.
But you don't have any footage from that trip? That
trip, I believe Luke, who was with me on that trip, yeah, he put, yeah, I forgot about that. That was like, that's so crazy because how that goes back around. So Luke had filmed all the stuff of our like 2-month trip and then put all the footage on his laptop or something. And he checked in his laptop and his luggage from the Philippines to LA, and they had straight up jacked his laptop. So all that stuff was gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy to think about too, because normally if that were to happen at any other point, I would have lost my shit and just been so pissed off at that time that, oh my God, that's footage, that's documentation of everything we've done. Like, we did so much amazing stuff. All of it was gone. But I think that at that point when we found out that it was stolen, me and Luke had gone through so much shit on that trip that we were like, whatever. It's gone. There's nothing we can do about it. But yeah, that was crazy, man. I remember we went to the Philippines right after a tsunami, and we volunteered to join a volunteer group, and the relief and all that stuff too. And I remember I tattooed, made a little bit of money from that, and I donated all the money to supplies for all the survivors of Typhoon Haiyan. And we filmed this whole thing, like getting into this island and dropping off all these goods, and it's raining, but it's not, and all these kids run out super happy to have food. And oh man, that was a fucked experience. I haven't thought about that in years. But yeah, we had that all on camera and just gone.
So if anyone's listening who is going to travel and document stuff, always have 2 backups and never put your laptop in the check-in luggage.
Yeah, you never put anything valuable in your check-in luggage. You carry that shit on, man.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, amateurs. Definitely amateurs at that time. Now we're seasoned.
A seasoned traveler. I always remember. I thought it was quite funny the time we went to McDonald's.
Where were we?
We were somewhere. We were in Malaysia probably, and I remember we went to McDonald's and you got a Big Mac, and you took a bite and you turned to me and you were like, "Dude, it's just the same as back home." And I was like, "That's the concept of a franchise."
No, not necessarily, dude. Like now that you bring that up, man. So you go to KFC here, and it's relatively dog shit. But you go to KFC in Malaysia, that's a different fucking beast. It's like
the Big Mac is such a...
I would assume the Big Mac is the way to go. It's the Honda Civic of burgers, I guess. So it's gonna be the same roughly everywhere. But even the quality of food in McDonald's in other countries generally is better than the States.
You get different choices.
There's that, but then just
video was brought to you by McDonald's.
Yeah, man. 2 apple pies, $1. Yeah, I lived off that shit for a long time. Yeah.
So that was just the start of you for the travel bug. Where did you go after that?
I came back home after that. I worked for a few months, saved up enough money, went on another trip, kept going back to Asia back and forth because there was something there that I felt like it was always something was calling me there, for lack of a better term. So every single time I went there, I felt just freedom. So I didn't have to worry about simple things like traffic. Didn't even bug me being in Asia because you're in a different country or whatever, experiencing different things, meeting different people, and then you're gaining inspiration from things around you all the time, whether it's the people you meet or the artwork around or the buildings, the temples, whatever. So I came home for a few years, like maybe a year. I had a private studio in Orange County in Dana Point for about a year, and I spent that year saving up, not much, but saving up so that I could plan this kind of year-long trip where I was gonna try to achieve my life's goal of tattooing on all 7 continents. That was something I thought about like when I was like 17 in history class or something. I was like, you know, it'd be cool if I did that. And because it sounded so unrealistic, because no matter what anybody thinks of my work or me or whatever, if I go do something like that, I can say that I achieved my life goal. And it's not that it was impossible. It definitely felt impossible when you're young, but as you do those first few trips to, I don't know, Asia and then Australia, whatever, you just start traveling, you realize, oh, I can totally do this. So, yeah, I left on my 30th birthday, I believe, to go try to conquer the world. But it was a really weird time. It's like I was using Instagram, I remember, and like not much social media, not much press. I wasn't really good at that stuff. And I wanted to go on this trip to basically, lack of a better term, find myself, to find my style, to find my identity, to find just whatever that was going to help tattooing. And also just to see the world. Like I knew that all I've ever wanted to do at that point in my life was travel. And I knew that tattooing was the ticket. You know, you can't do it. I mean, I could do it if I was in a band, but like you're basically a one-man band. Basically, and you're setting up your own shows and you're doing everything on your own. I'm sure you know this. So you've done everything on your own too. So yeah, man, I did it, man. I left January 26th, I believe, 10 days after.
The last continent was Antarctica.
Antarctica, yeah.
And did you see the big ice wall?
There's a lot of those, man. I saw a lot of penguins. Saw a shitload of dude penguins waiting for the ladies to show up, so they just kind of stand there like an army waiting for the ladies. That was cool.
But you know the flat Earth theory.
Oh yeah,
talk about the big ice
for
wall.
sure, the Earth is flat as fuck. But it's like a record, man. Yeah, now I know what you. Yeah, the big old ice wall. Yeah,
the Antarctic tree.
I know.
Treaty even.
Ah, jeez. Oh yeah. Well, I was trying to find those like Nazi temples and pyramids that were supposedly there that were created to find the UFOs or build UFOs and shit. Yeah, whatever.
No, look, just penguins.
Nah, the whole thing was that, you know, when I took off on that trip initially, I flew from Los Angeles to Iceland. I had already been to Australia a few years, like a year prior, but like I went there to Iceland and then to Europe to Japan, back to Europe back to, then went to Africa, and then to Aruba from Africa, I think.
Where in Africa did you tattoo?
Cape Town.
I'll say.
Yeah. Fuck, man, that year went by really fast, but it was definitely living like a scumbag. I remember once I got to the 4 or 5 month mark, I was fucking drained already. But going into Africa, the only contact I had was my friend Nicholas Mudskipper in Cape Town, and that's where I went. I wanted to go to Morocco, to be honest, but I didn't go like way too deep, so I definitely need to go back to Africa and just go check out everything else. Tanzania, I'd love to go there.
I feel like if you were gonna tattoo in a country in Africa, though, it had to be one of the
Cape Town,
just below Morocco, because Morocco, even though it is Africa, is still very much Middle East influenced,
right,
in terms of culture and stuff like that.
I mean, oh, are you talking like deep Africa? So here's
no, I just mean anywhere that's not like below.
Yeah. So it has to be below then. Yeah. So Cape Town's as below as it gets. But Cape Town looks like fucking San Diego, man.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful, but it's very reminiscent to me of San Diego. But the people are beautiful people. Everything's awesome. There is a sense of danger, just like any city. But it's awesome. It's great.
Did you make it to any of the townships in South Africa?
I can't recall.
No.
Like, what do you mean townships?
The townships is where generally a lot of the poorer people live. The shanty towns. Stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I stayed in I don't want to offend anybody, otherwise, but I'm pretty sure I stayed in a shanty town like the entire. There was 10 days out of the 3 months I was there where I stayed in an Airbnb. I had a friend that came to visit me and we stayed there, but the rest of the time that whole year I was couch surfing. And in Africa, I was staying with my friend Nick, and I believe his area was called like District something. But I mean, our next door neighbors were all drug dealers just standing in front of their houses, just waiting for the next person to roll up. It was sketchy as fuck. But everybody I met there who lived there told me that it's the norm that you're going to get, jacked at least once living here, so yeah. There's this whole crucifix move that people do that they were telling me about to be aware of, that basically two guys come at you this way and lift you up by the arms, and then another guy comes back and reaches inside your pockets. And it's like the crucifix. So it's a move, right?
It's like a wrestle move.
Right. So, I mean, that's how they get drunk people, man. Like when you're stumbling around, boom, crucifix, leg drop. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Africa was crazy, dude. Jeez.
Yeah, when I went to Cape Town, I mean, I felt considerably safer there than I did in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
It's way sketchier, and most people, like you say, like you accept the fact that you might. Like, well, I'm not trying to put anyone off from going to South Africa.
Right.
It's a great country, but like literally, I'd speak to people and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got carjacked 4 days ago."
Yeah.
Like, you don't stop at red lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, at night anyway, you don't stop the car. You keep moving slowly. And then because literally a hand comes in the window, something gets snatched. It's pretty sketchy. Actually, the funny, it's not funny, but I got there 30 minutes after checking into my Airbnb. I went to the supermarket to just buy food. And I just heard a commotion at the front, and I walked over and I saw this guy just bleeding from the head, and someone had come in and just smashed the bottle over his head while trying to grab a lady's bag. It was just chaos.
Yeah, that's basically, I mean, yeah. I didn't make it. I was going to go to Johannesburg, but then I didn't make it there because of the schedule of working and stuff. And like everybody, even people who were from Johannesburg visiting that I'd meet down in Cape Town was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing, the violence, or not necessarily the violence, but just the stealing, the carjacking or whatever. Just like the danger, the sense of danger. It's like, I mean, fuck it, whatever. I'd still check it out. At that point, I wasn't scared of going into towns like that. Nowadays, it's weird.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like, I would love to go back to Africa, especially Cape Town. I definitely want to go. Yep. There's so many places in Africa I want to go.
Tanzania, like you said, is...
I would love to go. I think my stomach isn't as strong as it used to be, though, too. Definitely.
You're quite a sensitive little soul, I think.
I got a sensitive stomach as fuck, man. It's like, do you remember when we were in Thailand and I got dengue fever?
Yeah.
From the elephant park that we went to.
I'm pretty sure I had it at the same time.
Yeah. I think I got it from you, bro. Oh, when you got pink eye from me? Never mind. But yeah. I was... Why'd you ask me about Africa? What was the point of that? Was that supposed to leading to something?
Well, we were talking about the continents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like where you tattooed there.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the flat earth theory.
The
ice wall.
Yeah.
Have you seen it online? There's a lot of there's a big movement on the concave earth. Do you know that theory?
No.
So one of my friends added me into this Facebook group, and people talk about it, and it's nice to observe and watch the people talk about it. But like, I haven't been to space, so I don't know. But yeah, basically, we live on the inside of the Earth.
Yeah,
And then the space is what they call the black sun.
This is what happens when people are fucking bored.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know, man. You don't hear these ideas coming out of metropolitan cities, I feel like. But yeah, no, there's that. I mean, my favorite one that I heard quite a long time ago was that the hollow moon theory. That's a good one too. Where
It's a hologram.
No, the moon is hollow.
Oh.
Is that like
Earth is hollow apparently too.
Yeah,
Hollow Earth
not
theory.
really though, because where does lava come from? It's like there's a lot of bullshittery, man. It's like my favorite. I love hearing people talk about flat Earth shit, and it's such a great like conversation starter. Like if I was a single man who was walking into a bar and saw a group of ladies, I would just walk in, be like, "Yo, you guys know the Earth is flat?" Like it's such a great thing because they're either gonna, I don't know, make fun of you, talk shit to you, or be intrigued. So either way, you have some sort of opening communication. So it's a great way to start a convo. Or to end one, too. But yeah.
Or to get stabbed.
Nah, I don't think people, maybe in Johannesburg. But that's the thing, too. The first flat earther I met was in Cape Town in Africa, too.
First
like,
what? Flat
first
earther?
flat earther. Like,
Yeah.
every other person I met was a flat earther, and I just fucking killed me. Because it just felt like I was in a Simpsons cartoon or some shit. It's like everybody was a character. And yeah, flat earthers, man.
Have you been to space?
No. No, I'm afraid of heights, actually.
Yeah.
So I can't go too high.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Relative really though, isn't it? Space might not be very high compared to a lot of things.
Yeah. Would you go to space?
Yeah.
I would go.
If it exists.
Oh, stop it, dude. Like, I would definitely go if it's... Yeah, I'd for sure go. I'd be scared shitless if the whole rocket way up. But yeah, man.
I heard something on the radio the other day about Richard Branson's thing. He's like sending people to space soon, or I can't remember when. It's like, I don't know how much it is, like £250,000 ago. But they've got a cinema on board. It's like, why would you go into space? Why are you going to be watching?
Well, I mean, it's a long ride. It's a fucking long ride. It's like,
I don't
where are they
think- I
going?
don't think
Are they
they
going
go-
to Mars, or is
No.
it just like a trip around?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
okay.
just out like
Well, I mean, after
orbit. Or
I don't know, dude. I'm not an astronaut or anything, but I feel like after a few days of just looking at space in general,
I think they kind of fly up and come back down. I don't
is
think
it like
it's
a 1-day trip kind of thing?
I don't think so.
You know, it'd be funny if in their cinema they watch like fucking Star Wars,
Yeah,
or
Apollo
something.
13.
Yes. Gravity or some
Alien.
shit. Interstellar. It's like,
Yeah.
why can't that shit happen? You know?
Yeah.
For sure, dude. It's like,
Interstellar's a sick movie though.
I fucking loved Interstellar.
Yeah,
That
the
was
subjects.
great. Dude. McConaughey, dude, in that movie, that was like the beginning of the reconnaissance.
Yeah.
You know, when he came back and then he did True Detective and then Dallas Buyers Club, it was like fucking spraying everybody. He was killing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reconnaissance, man.
Honestly.
Yeah. It's the renaissance of McConaughey. All right.
All right. I actually watched Between the Two Ferns.
It's fucking great.
It's
Yeah,
so good.
that
And he's
was
on
great.
there and he says,
That was great. Did you see Joker?
not yet.
Dude. So good.
So good.
So good. Yeah, it was crazy. I went opening night, and I know this has nothing to do with traveling right now or fucking anything, but I went opening night, and there were 10 cops at the theater, and there was a metal detector because they were all freaked out about a shooting that was going to happen or something because of that one guy who dressed like the Joker like 8 years ago and shot up in Denver or Colorado somewhere. But
I obviously haven't seen the film, but what kind of, from what I've heard, it kind of relays a message of like current times we live in with mental health issues and
yeah.
how easy it could be anyone.
I mean, if you walk into a movie having expectations about learning something and going fucking deep into society, or you walk in there and you're watching a fucking movie and just enjoy it. It's subjective. You can look at it any way you want. But I was more not freaking out, but I thought it was hilarious that I'm going to go watch a movie and there's a chance that I might die because somebody's going to shoot this place up. That was a really weird feeling. But yeah, it's fucking metal detectors and cops. But yeah, there's definitely, this kind of I don't know, man. Because this whole conversation about mental health and guns and everything can go in so many different ways. There's like, yeah, we have a lot of these weird shootings that happen yearly now. That I don't know. Is it a gun thing or is it a mental issue that we don't know how to address because of the lack
I think
of...
they go hand in hand. If someone's got mental health issues and then they've got access to a gun.
For sure. And it's very easy to get one. And that's the thing, too. Even if, I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not anybody who should be speaking on this subject, but with my opinion is that even if you ban guns in this country, it's not going to stop people from getting guns. You know?
No.
Guns are illegal in Japan. Plenty of people have fucking guns there.
Yeah, but
guns are illegal in Europe. Plenty of fucking people have guns there, too.
Yeah, but not quite as much.
That doesn't mean shit.
I think in Australia they did like a whole
right.
armistice where they let people hand in legally. You could just walk into a police station, hand in your gun, no problem. And they did that, and like they've never had like a mass shooting.
Yeah, but there's also like 10 people in Australia, as opposed
Still,
to like
22 million.
But you get what I mean in the scale of things. It's like if you try to, oh man, are we doing this? Are we doing the gun talk right now, dude? Because you try to take away guns from people who live in the South or Texas in general, it ain't gonna happen, man.
Yeah,
that's how you start a civil war.
Yeah.
Like that's.
You just shouldn't have had them in the first place. This is the argument. Like
bear arms. You have the right to bear arms.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know, man. It's that. I don't know. It was different times. We didn't have as much people. I don't know. Did we have street gangs in the fucking 1700s?
Yep.
did you know? I don't know. It's different, man. I mean, was there really a drug trade back then? Was there really this? Was there mental issues back then as much as we have now? It's crazy, man.
Probably not.
Probably not, because there's a lot less people back then. We're fucking like bunnies right now. There's
people.
like 10 people alive back then, but your average life expectancy was like 40 years old.
Well, I think people in the 1700s would just shoot someone.
Yeah, no, you'd get challenged to a duel.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, sundown.
When was it? Like Western times? What years were they?
1800s.
1800s. Yeah.
I believe so. Right.
Let's,
like Wild West, Gold Rush.
Yeah.
The Gold Rush. Fuck. I should know that. I want to say it's the 1800s. I might be totally wrong. This might all be.
Let's remember Back
Ignacio,
to the
when
Future
was 3. I want to say it's 1800s. 1700s is Revolutionary War. 1800s is Civil War. So it's got to be 18, and then also into the 1900s a bit too. The early parts. Because
imagine being like the last cowboy.
I mean,
one of the last, just holding on. Do you know, like the people who can't let go of like the belly tops, the cutoffs in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, you're like the last one, and you're walking around like looking like an idiot with a cowboy hat. And
Ignacio, can you look up when the gold rush started, or what years were the Wild West? Because I want to say it's like 1800s and 1900s, because all that shit of people coming out to America, but people from Europe coming into America through the East Coast, and then people from Asia coming in through the West Coast. So the railroad tracks were being built, I think, the early 1900s. The Great Depression is 1930s.
Gold Rush?
Yeah.
1848 to 1855.
Okay, and then the Wild West times?
or just 2002, Will Smith?
Yes. No, that was 90s for sure. That Wild West was for sure 90s.
I just took a guess.
Because that's, what was that? That's Jackie Chan. No, not the movie. The actual historical time.
Okay.
That's my friend Ignacio in the background over there. He's from Argentina, badass tattooer as
Argentina. Yeah. Yeah, cool. It's good to talk about Wild West and Jim West.
I mean,
this is oh, you don't want nada.
But this is how we
1865.
1865 is
one just after.
So what the fuck was in the 1900s then in this country? That's Great Depression, automobile, war, prohibition, flappers, Charlie Chaplin, Lon Chaney. Yeah, no, there's. I don't know, man. Wait.
We've gone so off topic here.
It's all right. Guns. You can crop me out. It's fine. You can edit. You can edit me all you want. It's all good. But yeah,
We've gone so far away
So
from
far.
so far away from
so
the world of tattooing. Tattooing and travels ended
But
up
this
in
is
the-
generally how we speak to each other.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So it's just if you're gonna make bullet points, make bullet points. But I don't know how it ended up here. But we went from Africa to Will Smith's Wild Wild West. But yeah, man,
so the flat Earth theory.
it's weird. So when I got to Antarctica, I realized that
You almost fell off the edge.
the Earth is just like a record, man. Antarctica is just the fucking edge, dude. It's track one. Yeah, but just to revert back into everything and come back around, it was like, yeah, it was 1 year of traveling straight, man, tattooing. I packed 3 shirts, 4 tattoo machines, 2 pairs of pants, a jacket, and a vest. And that's literally all I lived on.
Did you have any problems getting into any countries with your
Fuck
tattoo tools?
yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Like, you know, if tattoo travel was a video game, like Street Fighter, for example, anybody out there knows what Street Fighter is, but yes, if tattoo travel was a video game, man, it's like London Heathrow would be M. Bison. You know, it's like he's the toughest one to get through, and then you have Sydney. Sydney's a little funny too, man. It's like the first time I went to Sydney, I don't even know what year, 2014, I want to say. First time I went to Sydney, I got in, and I immediately got pulled aside, and I have no idea why. I was just in a bright white room, and they looked through all my stuff. They confiscated my laptop, my phone, and I don't even think I had Instagram at the time. I don't think I had anything. So I had no proof that I was there to work, but I had my tattoo machines. So they're asking me if I was here to work, if I was here to blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, sir. I'm just here visiting my friend. I brought my tattoo machines because I might be tattooing them, my friends, for free. Because I'm practicing. Like, just shit like that. So you always got to have something ready to go. Like, you got to have your story straight. And, you know, London's fucking scary as fuck, dude. So now I know that when you go into London, you don't go through fucking Heathrow. Fuck, why am I talking about this? But you don't go through Heathrow. You go through Gatwick, Luton, Stansted. Stansted, the other one? Yeah, so, but if you're coming from the States, you go to Barcelona first. Or you go to
Then you land
Rome.
on
Yeah, you go to a chill country, or like you go to Barcelona, you go to Roma. France is a tough one too, right? Yeah, France is kind of like, he would be Vega in Street Fighter, but yeah, London's definitely the toughest one. But being an American, everywhere else is generally easy to get through. But if you're international, getting into America is M. Bison.
It's the same for us. Like this time when I arrived here 2 days ago, it was the first time in 5 years I haven't been taken into that back room purely because of my name. Because apparently there's some badass motherfucker called Miguel Gutierrez who's like wanted for shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got pulled aside?
Last 5 years, every time I've been here.
Oh, okay. Because they're looking for a guy with your name.
But this time it was fine because I've got I basically got my ESTA waiver thing that we have to get denied because I got recently, like in the past few years, I got a Chilean passport.
Oh, nice.
So then I had to go to the embassy in London and they did like a full check and give me like a 10-year tourist visa.
Oh, they gave you the 6-month thing.
No, 10 years.
10 years to be every 6 months you could chill.
Yeah.
Right. It's, what is that, the K?
B1, B2.
B1, B1, yeah.
So I can come for like business meetings or tourism reasons.
That's the good visa. That's the one where you can kind of chill as long as you fuck. That's what you got too, right? Yeah. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, you can just come in and have a meeting or do free stuff or work at events and stuff. I think it's kind of fine. But it was the first time in a long time that I haven't been taken into the back.
That's good.
I mean, the guy was Mexican
now.
too.
Oh, dude, especially right now, man. Like, it just happened to my friend 2 weeks ago from Barcelona. He came in, flew in from Barcelona. He barely speaks English. So they asked him, they asked him a bunch of questions like, what are you doing here? Who do you know here? And he didn't have his story straight. He was just, I'm here to visit. I'm here to vacation or whatever. But he didn't have an address where he was staying at. He was staying at my place, but he was going to probably hit me up after he left the airport. But There was that. He just didn't have a story, so they literally sent him on a plane right back to Barcelona.
And then he's banned for.
They didn't give him a red stamp because they said that they have no idea what his intent of being here is. So
Yeah.
that's why they just sent his ass back, which sucks because you
And
look
they
forward
paid
to
for
this
it?
trip. No, fuck no. They
He
don't
had to pay for it?
I'm almost positive he had to pay for it. I don't think they pay for shit, man. I might be wrong, but like I don't. When you get stopped, do they?
They put you in a.
But do they pay for it?
Yeah, when I got sent back from London, from Heathrow, they just put me in the next free seat.
No
Next plane
way.
back to Rome.
So,
I've heard that they make you pay for it though.
In case you didn't hear that, Ignacio just said that when he
Yeah.
got sent back from London, he
Yeah.
got sent on the next free seat.
Oh Jesus! But yeah, so that sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But
I mean, why wouldn't you want to travel to a country and go straight back?
no, but I mean, it's just
Sounds super fun.
He comes. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive he had a ticket that showed when he was going to exit. But then again, it doesn't matter. Right now, flying into America, if you're any shade of brown, seems like a bad time. Like everybody.
That's what I was saying though. Before the guy was Mexican, he started
Right.
speaking to me in Spanish straight away, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sí." He was like, ¿Qué negocio tiene aquí? Or something like, "What business do you have here?" And I was like, negocio.
You speak
business."
Spanish?
Yeah, but like badly. And I was like super tired as well. It was like a 15-hour journey. So I was
That's how you would get fucked too. If you don't have your story straight and you're jet lagged as fuck, and they pull you into one of those white rooms,
yeah.
you just tap out. Like this.
I just say now, I'm like, "You looking for that other Miguel Gutierrez on you?" And they're like, "Yep." I'm like, "It isn't me."
Is he like a wanted criminal?
I think so. I guess there's a few. There's a lady in Philadelphia once told me that they have a few border jumpers who are called.
Why don't you
Miguel
just change your
Gutierrez.
name?
That's what I was thinking.
You know how M. Bison's name? It's just
Miguel-
M. Bison.
Miguel Gutierrez Noir.
Yeah, that works. There's a ring to that. But you could just be M. Gutierrez. You know? Like M. Bison.
Yeah,
Be tight.
bring the fight to that.
Bring that Street Fighter story back around, dude. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really weird travel times in general, too. Do you remember when the MH380 happened?
What's that?
When that flight in Malaysia Airlines went
Oh
missing?
yeah.
That
It's still missing, isn't it?
Yeah, that happened. Well, I think they had found fragments of it in the Indian Ocean or something. I might be
Yeah.
wrong, but
They never
say
found the black box.
They
though.
never found anything except
Yeah.
I think what they say is a door or
Yeah.
like just fragments of the plane. But it could be from who knows.
Yeah.
But I remember that happened when we were in Malaysia.
Hmm.
Do you remember that?
Did it happen there?
It happened that trip.
Wow.
That trip.
That's
So
gone so
that
fast.
plane went missing when we were in Malaysia. A Malaysian Airlines plane went missing when we were in Malaysia.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. That shit was keeping me up at night too, because I was like, I hate flying in general too, and it's gotten way worse as the years have gone by. Like when I first started flying, everything was fine. I had like nothing to live for. Really didn't give a shit about anything. But then, now that I've gotten older, and then all these flights, and just the turbulence and all that shit, and just walking through customs, just going through an airport is so much stress all the fucking time that it's once you're in the air. Your one worry is like, oh my god, what if we fall? What if we crash? It's still going through my head. And
Keeps me pretty anxious. I hate
Dude.
turbulence.
I hate it. And they tell me like, oh, turbulence is fine. It's totally a natural thing and blah, blah. It's like, dude,
It's not.
you know what's not a natural thing? Fucking 300 people being in a piece of fucking metal being thrown in the air, you know? So it's, oh, dude. I like freak out whenever I read like any news, anything on planes and malfunctions and all that stuff because it's like, I hate flying, man.
Doesn't
I
take
hate
long for a plane to blow up, you know,
it. Ah, dude, I
when
hate
it really
flying.
crash.
Yeah. And it's not gotten easier. Like this, even with the Xanax, dude, like you try to pop a Xanax or a Valium when you're on the plane, and it's like, okay, you're falling asleep, blah, blah, everything's cool, you're passed out. You just passed out to watching The Dark Knight, and then all of a sudden the turbulence kicks in, and then it's always The Dark Knight, but then the turbulence kicks in, and then you fucking wake up, and then all that, you snap out of it, and it's like seeing a cop. You just sober up immediately when you get that turbulence, man. I don't know. Drinking doesn't help at all.
Why do you think it's as you've got older, are you thinking about things differently?
I don't know. I think definitely it's part of once you start having reasons to live and responsibilities that you know can't work without you. you kind of worry about those things. Like, I was with my dad on his boat the other day, and I told my dad, I'd rather me die first than see him go, just because I don't want to deal with that, like, that type of emotion, that kind of sadness and stuff, that kind of trauma. You know, it's like, I'd rather you deal with it. It's like, because, I don't know, man. I'm getting at that age where, you know, one of my mentors and closest friends passed away a few weeks ago, but that's been happening a lot lately. You know, I'm in my early 30s still, and I'm seeing a lot of people pass away, and you know, people are either getting married and having kids, or their second kids, or people are passing away. And the people that I remember as a child being, you know, adults or teenagers,
like our age,
are old now. Yeah, are old. You know, so yeah, it's weird. It's that really weird time, you know, where you are really manning up. It's like everything's moved a decade. Like, back in our parents' time, everybody's an adult by the time they're 20-something. Yeah. And we're figuring it out in our 30s. Like, we should have been doing this back then. But also, our brains weren't ready for this shit back then, you know?
I think it's, as you do get older as well, you start to, like you say, once you start to lose people, you start to think about, one, making the most of your life, and then two, death.
For sure.
In a different way than you did before, because everyone totally take things for granted as a youngster. That you think, oh yeah, when I die, but you don't actually think about it.
Right.
In depth, you know. You just think, oh, it's simple as, but it kind of becomes more real once you actually get to the age where
you just understand,
you know, your parents are getting older, and you do think about it. It's terrifying thoughts, like you say. You'd rather go first than have to experience that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a really good way. I never really properly had a pet growing up, so I never dealt with the loss of a pet, which is a great way to deal with loss for children and just people in general. So dealing with loss for me is never good. I don't take it well, and it's almost paralyzing sometimes, you know. So these are emotions that you start feeling. Like, there's people who lost their parents and close ones and loved ones when they were children too, and like they dealt with that trauma, which gives them an extra layer of thick skin and stuff. But it's like, for myself, I don't know. And that's why when I sit on that plane, I think about all these thoughts, like, oh fuck, I didn't write a will yet, like just shit like that. And you know, I just hate being on a plane every day, man. There was a point in time where the anxiety, that's something that's happened over the years, is that I've built up this anxiety that I never had before from just life in general. Mortal anxiety, like stuff when stuff becomes out of your control, things you can't control. So that kind of anxiety is terrifying when you can't do nothing about it. That's why, like, I hate being at a barbershop, because I'm sitting there, I can't do anything, and I'm not in control in those moments. And I hate being at the dentist. I hate being at the doctor, because I'm so used to being in control of everything in my life that when I don't have it and it's in somebody else's hands, I have insane anxiety. A la a plane. You know, like, I'm not the one flying.
Back to the plane.
Yeah, dude. All that stuff, man. And, you know, the whole barber, even when I get a massage too, it's like, it's nice, but, you know, say you get an hour-long massage, once you get into the halfway point is when you're able to really relax. But that first, like, I don't know, 30 minutes, you're like, this is weird. I can't do anything. I can't look at my phone. You know, and you stop thinking like that in general and just let go. But, yeah, no.
It's hard to when you're so busy.
Yeah, there's always a million things in your head. You know, when you're, I don't know, I really got to slow it down, man. I'm constantly working. If it's not tattooing, it's painting. If it's not painting, it's something involving the shop. If it's not the shop, it's something else. Like, there's a part of me who absolutely loves this work rate. Like, before anybody even wanted to get tattooed by me, before anything, all I had was ambition. So without that, I wouldn't be anywhere. You know, I owe everything to just having ambition, because that's the only thing, like, self-motivation and all that shit is the only thing that, how you can get somewhere, how you can achieve a goal, you know? Yeah.
So in terms of spiritual values, do you align yourself with any?
Why do you got to go right into that? That's
Well, as far as they're concerned,
spaghetti monster. I'm all for a
had
spaghetti monster. No, I mean, I grew up Catholic in a very Catholic household. My parents are very involved in the church still to this day. But I think over the years, especially with all the traveling, the people you meet and stuff, I have more of an agnostic point of view now. I mean, you definitely feel the energy of something positive and negative and all that stuff too. But I don't know, man. My human brain cannot capacitize what the fuck goes on in this world or outside of this world, you know. So yeah, I don't really align myself with anything.
It's pretty hard to even like comprehend a lot of things, isn't it?
I mean, obviously, but after like, I think growing up Catholic, basically believing in whatever the fuck that shit is most of your life, and then you start traveling, and then you go somewhere like Asia where not everybody, but the general population in certain countries is Buddhist, and then you start learning about that stuff, and then you go to someplace like India, you learn about that, and then I don't know, or you go to Africa, and then whatever, you just add up the miles and you add up the knowledge of that. It's like, it's kind of, I don't think any human being on this planet knows the answers to that stuff. No mortal person does. But on top of that, I think whatever does exist spiritually, or I'm sorry, in the afterworld, we don't fucking know.
We'll never fully know.
And that's why I mean, every once in a while, like I'd say once a year, I'll do some mind expanding funny thing like shrooms or DMT or some shit like that. Whenever, I mean, I'm not planning these things out, but it happens, and it's always good to confront those things because I don't know. There's a lot of things our human eyes can't see, you know, and I feel like when you expand your mind doing things like that, even going in a sensory deprivation tank or even meditating, you know, for some people it's easier than others, but spiritual, as far as like higher beings and stuff, I ain't got no answers to that. But as far as like, I don't know. It's tough for me because I feel like I haven't really dove into that too much. You have these moments though too, and I'm sure you can relate, where like you go somewhere and you hear like the desert, and you're by yourself and you just hear complete silence. And I think about that. It's like, I think I've only heard complete silence twice my entire life. Once in the desert and then once in Antarctica, where you just hear nothing. No cars, no wind, nothing. It's so weird because your brain freaks out and it starts making up sounds for you, but then at the end of the day, it's complete silence. It's such a rare thing that you come across, and that's like the closest thing I've ever gotten to feel sober, to feel otherworldly, to feel so small, you know, that like, I don't know, it was so fucking comforting. That's the first time I'd felt peace, I think, too. So yeah.
This is actually something I've been reading about lately. But do you think that consciousness lives in the brain?
I think that you're all a simulation. No, consciousness living in the brain.
Do you believe we are a soul or purely a...
Again, man, I'm not the man with these answers because it's a thought that, I don't know.
I mean, you can't really know. I'm not expecting you to give me the answer.
No, but
but give me the answer.
Consciousness, I think, I feel, is knowing that you're existing, right? Like you're aware of your existence. Do dogs have that?
I think in certain aspects, but I think we're the only species that worries about the past and the present.
Right.
I mean, the past and the future.
Right.
Every other species probably lives in the present.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean,
generally speaking, it's like consciousness definitely, in that sense, would have to live in the brain. Because even, like, if you want to go deep with it, is it a soul thing? Is it like a... What'd you say earlier? Like, does it live in the soul? Does it live in blah, blah, blah? Dude, like, consciousness just exists, I feel like, just in your brain, that you're aware of that you're existing and that you're here and you're present. I mean, whatever. That shit's weird, man. Those conversations, one, I'm not high at all right now, but I could definitely dig into that conversation when I'm high. But, you know, it's trying to find the right words to that. It's like trying to be aware. I don't know. What do you think?
It's something I'm still like. I love reading and researching about these things and hearing other people's opinions and reading books. And I mean, I only get so far in books because I get my attention span is super bad. But I can't comprehend the fact that we exist purely as an accident. Yeah. You know, like we're on
Like
this
is all planned.
Yeah, like this floating ball in this never-ending.
It could. I mean,
place.
dude, there's so many.
How can the universe start as an atom, like the size of an atom?
I mean, there's so many sides to this. So basically, for us to exist on accident, it would have to be a series of crazy coincidences that occur. So
over millions of years.
Over gazillions of years, actually. So it's like, I mean, who fucking knows, actually? Because this could go back way longer. Like, we're barely tapping the surface of this still. You know, we've learned this much about our universe, or better yet, our solar system, within a certain amount of time, within the last 100, 200 years. So all this stuff is really still brand new. So we're going to continue learning. But for this planet to exist where it is now, within the Goldilocks zone of where the sun is, within this solar system of blah, 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 and it goes back. I know, man. Is it an accident? Is it a coincidence? Or is it planned? I'm going to go agnostic on this one and just kind of like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not going to. I think about it selfishly, those thoughts, when I am alone and have those moments of peace, which are fucking rare, dude. And like, I'm jealous of people who can actually sit there and meditate. I don't have the mental capacity to do it.
I think everyone does, but it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
It's something that, like you say, it's probably the same as tattooing. You probably have to lock yourself in a room and do it every day for a year. And then the magic starts to happen.
I'm assuming that's how acupuncture works, though, too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it doesn't, I don't know. It's like, you got to keep doing something, I guess. I've tried. I've definitely tried, but meditation is extremely difficult for me. So when I meet people who do meditate and are relaxed and do yoga and Pilates and shit, I'm like, there's a part of me that's super jealous because it's like, I don't know how to get there.
It's just consistency, I think. And sometimes it's being led on the right path. Like, I'm no meditation guru. Like, I've dabbled. And I still find it super difficult because my brain works like yours does. Right. I'm always thinking about the next thing, the thing before.
I think that's why like I was saying a little earlier too, why like when we do see each other, we literally pick up right back where we left off, because there's so much shit going on in our brains that we're doing one thing, that time goes by really fast. And yeah, man, that's another thing too, man. It's like when I was a kid or a teenager, a year felt like a year. It felt like a lifetime. And nowadays, a year is just that. It ain't nothing now. No. And time goes by so fast now. Like, I can, as we said, Ignacio's right there sitting across from us. He was last here in July for a few weeks. And that felt like literally 2 weeks ago. Because we're still telling the same fucking jokes, and we're still fucking talking the same conversations. We were just in a Halloween store on the day that he left, and we were like in July. It was like one of those warehouse Halloween stores, and we bought a bunch of props that were for sale, and that literally felt like a week ago to me. Because there's always something going on, always working. So when we run into each other, you and I see each other, it's literally the same jokes, the same everything. So,
6 years it's been since we met.
Yeah, crazy. Damn, 6 years. 27? I was 27 then? Damn.
Yeah, I was 26, turning 27.
Who do you think would win in a fight? 27-year-old you or 33-year-old you?
Oh, I'd fucking kick the shit out of 27.
27-year-old
yeah, I'm
you?
way angrier now.
What are you really mad about, dude?
I'm not mad.
Who hurt you, dude?
I've had to deal with a lot over the past few years, working in, having businesses and stuff, and
so all that's gonna make you just way aggro.
Beat the shit out
but
of 27-year-old me.
Younger and faster, probably.
Exactly.
And shit too. And you know all his moves, right?
Yeah. He's probably fit. Actually, no, probably not. He's probably a bit more agile, but I'm definitely stronger and angrier. Yeah.
27-year-old me versus 33-year-old me. I think 27-year-old me would win.
Yeah?
At my state right now. I think, okay, if I went back into, I haven't done my jiu-jitsu class in a month and a half. my class, but like talking like I'm a professional.
Your
but I go-
BJs?
my BJJ. But I felt good doing that for the last couple of months. I just started, and it really started feeling a difference in it. But like,
You've only doing it a couple of months.
just a couple of months, man.
Yeah.
Just to try to get in some physical activity aside from sitting at a desk
Yeah.
and drawing or painting or whatever. But yeah, I haven't done it in about a month and a half now, and I already feel a little wonky. That's another thing in your 30s, man. Just everything starts to slowly hurt a little bit more. Getting tattooed sucks. The food you eat, you have to choose wisely.
Yeah.
And then I'm positive, it's like the older you get, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So now's the time to basically start doing the work to be fit, to be healthy, because it's only going to get harder later on. And I keep pushing it back and procrastinating because I seem to always put my work ahead of everything, and I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. I still don't know yet.
I think it's the same for me. I find it really difficult separating that. And I'll get in a good place where I'm consistent and healthy, and I'm eating good food, exercise and going to the gym 5 days a week, and then something will happen, or like the travel will kick in for 3 weeks, and then that throws me off, and then suddenly I'm back to working hours and hours every day, not having a day off. And then slowly it creeps up on me when I feel terrible. I look terrible. I'm unfit. It's hard to balance these things when you one, run a business, two, have to fold shirts, do laundry.
Oh my God, yeah. No, it's brutal. But is it fulfillment? What is it? Because it's almost like you can't achieve your goals without kind of being aware of your health at the same time. Like you can, but you can't. And I feel like I got away with it at the perfect time in my 20s into my 30s, where I could kind of get away with eating cheeseburgers every day and pizzas.
Oh yeah,
and
for
shit.
sure.
But
No,
like I think now, at this age, 33 now, I can't do that. Like the simple things of like, man, if I have a fucking slice of pizza for breakfast, I'm gonna be so slow for the next 2 hours. But like, you're basically at that age where the last thing you eat at night determines the way you wake up, and the first thing you eat in the morning determines how you're gonna feel the rest of the day.
100%.
So, fuck, man. I remember being, I don't know, in grade school, and like I could go the whole day not eating a fucking thing and just have all this energy. And now it's like, dude, I have to eat something the moment I wake up. And I'm learning more about fasting during breakfast times and stuff like that. But goddamn, getting those miles, man. It's like it's weird because out of all the stuff that you've done in your lifetime now, as well as mine, I feel like we've been very fortunate to be able to do the things we do, see the things we've seen. I think a lot of it's ambition, a lot of it is goal oriented, and just doing it because we force ourselves to make it the only choice. That, hey, we're going to do this. But once we achieve these things, you keep making more goals and more goals and more goals.
This is the problem.
And that's the problem, I think, is that it's okay to be like that.
Yeah.
It's okay to just, what do you call it? Being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, but what are we yearning for? What are we missing?
I don't fucking know, dude.
The thing I'm fighting constantly is the fact that I'm always chasing new things, setting new goals, and trying to open this other business. But as I get older, I also realize that the material things, having business, having control, it means so little.
It means absolutely jack shit when you actually look at the grand scheme of things. It's like, why do you work so hard? You work so hard that one day, that you can live in a cabin in the woods? You could do that fucking now. You want to go retire in Asia or some shit and live in a hut on an island? You could do that right now, kind of. You could do all these things, kind of, but we work so hard for what? For like notoriety? It's maybe a bit of that, but
I think we set goals as a younger person and we have them but then you get there and you're like, yeah, I have a shop. What's next?
Well, before you even reach that part, you've already made the next step somewhere along the way. It's like, okay, like, hey, I'm going to open a fast food restaurant. But in the process of going there, like, oh, you're about to sign the papers. You've already had ideas for your menu and your expansion and whatever. Yeah. It's like, it's this constant grind and hustle. But I often think about that. It's like, man, I work so fucking much. And I mean, I enjoy it. I love what I do. And man, when I was living in Berlin, when you would come over to my place back then and stuff, where we'd meet up, it's like I only had to work 2 days a week of actual tattooing. 5 days a week, I was able to just paint and create. It was an amazing schedule, but I noticed that no matter what, I'm keeping myself busy. Why? Because it's fulfilling, and that's it. But then, what's the point of all of this? Is my bank account getting bigger? Is more people finding out about me? But do I actually care about that stuff? This town is weird too, because I've noticed after living abroad for the last 2 years and moving back here, opening the shop, and then before living abroad for the last 2 years, traveling for all those other years, you come back here, and this city in general, Los Angeles, is strange because everybody you meet, in one way, shape, or form, is trying to be well known for something, not necessarily being like a celebrity or whatever like that, but just being well known. I was just talking to Nacho about this on the drive down here, that it's like, dude, even your barber, man, will start cutting your hair and just start name dropping people that he's like, cut hair for, and it's like, I have no idea who these people are. but I get what you're doing. It's like everybody's trying to impress somebody, and
it's this Instagram world, isn't it, that we're living in?
And that's another conversation we had earlier today too, is that like there's a lot of pros and cons to this whole social media world, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But like, I think my favorite positive to this whole social media stuff is that there's the youth in general, and teenagers and children, they know that life can be better than just their neighborhood. Like you don't have to just, your world is bigger than just the block you live on. There's a lot less gangs now. There's a lot less street violence now around this town.
I feel like it sets like, but at this, like, I think it's a positive thing, like you just said, but at the same time, I think it also sets false expectations for some kids.
That true, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
I even beat myself down sometimes looking at other people, and I'm like, oh, wait, I should be doing what they're doing, and they're doing it bad. I
stopped that.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I stopped thinking like that. There was a time where I think when I first got into social media and realizing that how important it is to, if you're a young tattooer in 2019, 2020, whatever, if you're not on there, you don't exist. Unless, even like the legends that I grew up admiring and being heavily influenced by, a lot of these younger tattooers have no fucking idea who they are because they don't exist on social media or don't take nice pictures. It's kind of silly, but it is a game. All this is a game. And it's unfortunate, but these unreal expectations, I mean, dude, there's a handful of times where you'll meet the people that you're talking about, and then you talk to them in real life, and they tell you, dude, that's not really my life. Like, that's literally just for social media. It's like, you see this couple and all these pictures they take together of like, I love you, girl, like, this is my baby, blah, blah. And then you know them in real life, and you're like, you guys are fucking awful together. Like, terrible. Fucking terrible. But I don't know. You create a facade. You create a caricature of yourself, and people will buy into that. That's not what I do, but I don't think that's what you do either. But it is a business, and it is a game.
Do you think that it's a positive thing, the no likes Instagram coming in?
Say that again?
Do you know that the Instagram has got rid of likes in certain countries?
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you not heard of that? So in Canada, you can't see how many
nobody's
likes.
feelings get hurt or some shit like that.
I think it's just to stop people having such...
Oh, yeah, it's to have like kind of the addictive feeling.
Yeah,
it's weird too, because I remember I read this study too that like when you see the likes on your photo, a certain amount of endorphins get released from your brain. The same endorphins that I guess occur when you're taking opiates or something like that. So it becomes addicting. I think that's really funny, but yeah, I understand that. I completely understand that. I can remember being younger, going into this, getting that same vibe, like, oh my God. But man, I think after a while, none of it matters, dude. Like, if I died tomorrow, if either of us, including Ignacio in the room too, the three of us stopped using social media today, everybody would, but generally people would forget about us pretty fucking quick within about 2 to 3 months. Like, everybody's just brain is just so fast and gets over shit so quick nowadays that it's like, you have to be on there. somehow working, somehow being cooperative, but also just producing stuff, content, you know. I mean, dude, that's the world we live in, and it's scary to think that like 10 years ago it wasn't like this. So in 10 more years, when the younger people come in, and we're in our 40s and shit, and we're looking back at this, it's gonna be like, everything's moving way too fast. Everybody needs to slow the fuck down. Like, I'm terrified of the shit, man. I mean, just the simple invention of the iPad for illustrators in general is probably the biggest game changer in our industry, I think. You know, the efficiency of it and illustrating on it.
This is on the recent iPads, or all of them?
All of them.
Oh, really?
Anyone where you have a pen. But just the efficiency of it, saving paper, traveling with it, whatever. But I mean, dude, in the last 10 years in tattooing in general, there's been such an advance in machines, digital technology, art, whatever, dude. There's been so many crazy changes. It's just a mirror of our actual society and just all the stuff that's happened. You know, I'm sure you can agree with the whole. I mean, dude, when did you start Nomad Barber, the channel?
2013.
2013. So it's about to be 2020. Was YouTube around 2008? Was there any?
I think it launched around 2005, 2006.
But was
like
there
basic?
You basically you created your own channel to where you could travel, do your shit. You built your own brand based on ambition. Literally, that's it. You took a risk because you didn't really know what you're gonna get out of it, but you just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So now everybody kind of has that kind of idea. It's crazy, which is good, but this false narrative for the youth in general to grow, I mean, is it bad? Depending on how the two, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to, like, imagine meeting like a 12-year-old kid or some shit, which would be weird in the first place, but imagine meeting a 12-year-old kid and just being like, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And it's like, I'm going to be a fucking blogger.
A lot are like that.
I know.
So many want to be YouTube vloggers.
But yeah, I mean, oh my God, imagine that. It's like, I want to grow up and be a blogger. I want to be a YouTuber. It's like, so if you can't, it used to be.
When I grow up, I want to be a YouTuber.
Oh, dude, it's like, if it's I don't know. It used to be like, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to move to Hollywood and be an actor. That was the weird one, you know? And like people, dude, this whole town is filled with that. Your Uber driver is an actor, you know? Like, it's crazy. A lot of those Uber drivers have their portfolios in the fucking car.
Really?
Yeah. But, I mean, going from that to basically now where it's like, well, I want to be, basically at the end of the day, it's them saying, I want to be famous. It all goes back to that. And it's like, why do you want to be a blogger? You can be famous. Okay. Okay.
I think a lot of people like look at bloggers and YouTubers and just see, oh, they get to travel and make loads of money and hang out.
But then
with
doesn't
celebs.
that go back to what we were just talking about this facade? Like how much of this is real? How much?
Oh,
of it
massively.
Is not?
Like you
Right.
have to put essentially
happens?
you are an actor. You're playing a
Right.
part in a show, which might be your own show, which is a YouTube show. You know.
It's some Black Mirror shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a career though. I think some people think it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
it's hard work though. Some people think it's.
I respect it
yeah.
because the ones that I've been fortunate to get to know and have become friends with, they work their fucking dicks off. They work their asses off because you are your own brand. You're your own band. You're a one-man show. And over time, you hire an assistant or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're doing the editing. You're presenting yourself. It is a lot of work, and I respect that. It's very rare that I hate on anything or anybody. I think a few things I don't understand and I don't know, but I can definitely respect hard work no matter what it is. Yeah, man. I just wish I could do less work as much and still feel fulfilled. I don't know, man. It's like, I think at the end of the day, it would be nice to, I don't think I'm ever going to stop tattooing, but it'd be great to just be able to not work as much. It's not, I don't even know why, too. It's not because of bills. It's like, just cause? I still ask myself that. Like, why do I work technically 4 days a week, at the shop. And then 3 days a week I take off, which are technically supposed to be my paint days, but I've been back in California for about 7 months now. And those 3 days off that are supposed to be off end up becoming chores, administration, paperwork, taking care of the shop, we're in the process of getting a green card for my wife, all this stuff. It's just stuff, you know? And being back home now where you're surrounded by family and friends, somebody's always getting married. Somebody's always having a birthday. And like, you know, you're just going to have to, I need to learn how to say no.
Someone's always recording a podcast.
Yeah. But it's just learning how to say no. I think that's my issue too. But I'm still learning, man. I'm always learning. So, yeah.
So, kind of to wrap it up, what is like what plans do you have for the future? Or what ambitions would you have, like in an ideal world? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, that goes back to what we were just talking about.
Working less.
Too. It's, I achieved my life's goal. I just got married. And, you know, at this point, once you achieve that, you just start making up things that, you know, you start making other ideas and stuff. I really would like to one day expand my shop, but I also would like to work more on my paintings. I'd like to work more on projects outside of tattooing that involve the creative brain and get paid how much I work for it. Like how much I put in, I feel like I need to be reimbursed, you know? It's like, so that's been happening a lot lately, which is great. But, no, I'd like to work in other mediums outside of tattooing that are somehow still related to tattooing. Like last year I got to paint a bunch of leather jackets. That was awesome. I would like to continue doing things that involve less interaction with, less interaction with other people.
Yeah, I get it. You're like,
but just like where I can just lock myself in a room.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, I'm just trying to think of more stuff. I know that I'm going to be here in LA for quite a few years. I don't if I'm going to stay here permanently. I don't know long term, but right now it is my home. My wife is German, so I'm kind of European. So I don't know. I make up goals on the fly, man. So there's always something new every week. Like, fuck, man. What's the next thing I have to do? I literally have a list that I wrote down of things that are not in my control that I have to do. And then there's things just out of joy that I want to do. So, yeah. What are the next big plan? It's just...
What is...
I don't know. Just working on...
some food.
I don't know. Dude, I'm a badass cook too. But I wish I could cook meals every day, but not have to clean it up.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about cooking is cleaning it up. But that whole creative process of cooking, man, come over. I'll show you. I fucking love it, man. I can make something out of fucking nothing. But this morning, man, I fucking made a badass breakfast. I made my first quiche last night.
Oh, wow.
Vegan one, because Ignacio's here. And I fucking killed it, dude. I killed it. But as far as right now, long-term plans are I have my studio. I have the most amazing crew ever assembled in LA, I believe. I think everybody is a fucking murderer that I work with. And I think just on a personal level, I'd like to get my health in order to just not be under so much stress all the time. Like trying to find that balance where it's like, okay, this is my work rate. I've accepted that. But finding a balance for my health in there to where I'm mentally just good. Not, more of the time than less of the time, But, yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this show. I'm gonna do that
Man,
again.
you caught me at a rough time, man. It's like I'm not. If you were talking to me in Berlin, dude, this would be great. This would be great. Man.
It's good now. We had a good chat.
There should have been a forward or disclosure at the beginning of this whole podcast that like Adam is currently going under a lot of stress. So it's
I'm the same, and I'm super jet lagged, so it's fine. Don't worry about it.
We fucking suck right now.
But honestly, it's been a massive pleasure having you on here. And if you want to just drop your social media in the shop social media.
Yeah, it's Adam Vunoir at Adam Vunoir. That's the Gmail. And then there's adamvunoir.com. And then also my studio is called Strangelove. It's inside our artist compound called Heavens. and that is welcometoheavens.com.
I like the radio voice at the end.
What?
Yeah, thank you, Adam.
Thank you, bro. Keep it weird.